Welcome to TODDS WORLD, guys. The home improvement show. This is our last show of the week that we put out. We put out the Wildly Opinionated News Hour. That goes out every Tuesday. Carrie joins me for that, and then Beers with Jesus. Wildly Opinionated News Hour. Both of them you should listen to. You should at least give a chance to. Wildly Opinionated News Hour, kind of Rush Limbaugh-ish, maybe. Well, listen. For me to claim that about myself is like for a person to compare a basketball player to compare themselves to Michael Jordan. So I'm not claiming to be Rush. I'm just saying I've loved Rush my whole life. If you listen to the Wildly Opinionated News Hour, maybe it's our take on it. It's our take on news of the day. We go through some clips, give our opinions, have some fun, usually at the expense of of the left, but also the right, depending on what we're dealing with. So listen if you haven't. And then Beers with Jesus, this is Easter week. Actually, this is Good Friday, which I'm recording on. So the Beers with Jesus is our take on a show about Jesus. We basically go through the stories of the Bible. We went through Mark, which is a gospel, which tells the story of the life of Jesus. We just kind of went through it and explored it together, and we're doing the same thing in Acts right now. So that's on Wednesday. So give that a shot if you haven't. It's maybe not your typical, maybe religious podcast show that people think of. Hopefully it's a little bit more fun. I don't know. See what you think. Give it a try. And my books too. Now on Amazon at Todd Allen, I've got Insurrections out there. This is Insurrection Season 1. Insurrection Season 1 and 2 should be available. If 2's not, I'll get 2 up there. Let me read you the back of Insurrection. I did originally as an audio fiction podcast. I did the same thing with Witness too. So they're two different stories. Insurrection is more of an alternative reality where in the 2024 election, the deep state and all of his enemies succeed and they take out Trump, and then a secret kind of paramilitary force arises, and you get what amounts to what I imagine at least that an insurrection might look like in America in this day and age. Mostly it's a good story, so I'm not calling for any insurrections or anything like that. It's just a good tale. I hope. A lot of people really enjoyed it. Witness is a little different. Witness is kind of set in, and again, it'd be an alternate kind of end times kind of thing. And you have a witness that kind of shows up. But it's very what would I compare it to? It would have some themes, some biblical themes and things, but it's very much an action, kind of a suspense type story. So anyway, again, that's Witness. Give them a shot. Order them on Amazon. You can still, if you want to dig back into archives on TODDS WORLD, quite honestly, you can listen to the audio podcast still up on there. For right now, till I record the audiobooks and put them on audiobooks, at that point, we might pull the podcast. I don't know. But working on season 2 for Witness right now. Been working on it for a while. Starts to feel like, am I really working on it? I don't know. But anyway, those are just a few things we've got going on at TODDS WORLD. This is the newest thing, which is the home improvement show. Shorter show. I like to think it's a little bit more intimate. You know, the camera style is a little different. So anyway, you find us at TODDS WORLD on, and we're really everywhere. I put this entire show up on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Play. I mean, anywhere you get podcasts, you can find it. And most of the social medias. And on the social medias, you can, at Facebook, you'd probably find me at Todd Allen, at my personal page. But I also have a TODDS WORLD page. I just don't do a lot with it. I've ended up doing a lot of both Facebook and Instagram just on my personal page. You know what else is on my personal page this week? On Facebook. So if you're listening to this on Facebook, you need to go into my Facebook page, into my feed, And today, I don't know if I've done it yet, but I'm going to do it before this goes out. My daughter, Lauren Allen, is a singer-songwriter and does gigs around. Just put out just dropped today, her first professionally done music video. Professionally recorded, produced. Company in Grand Rapids did Revo or something. I can't remember exactly what the name of the. I'll find that for next week and give them a little bit of a plug. But go listen to the video. It's called Bad News by Lauren Allen. You'll have it up. It'll be easy to find in my thread. It's also on YouTube if you look up Lauren Allen. It's Lauryn. And country song. So should work for you. Anyway, my girls were down in Florida last week and they went to Margaritaville and got me a new koozie. There's a long story behind my old Margaritaville koozie. I'm not sure we have time for that today. I'm not sure it classified as a home improvement since it happened on a boat. It'd be more like boat improvement. Except I didn't improve the boat. I dove off in search of my koozie and then the boat started floating off. It wasn't great. Don't ever abandon ship for a koozie. I'm still here. I survived. But anyway, so I did get my first comment. It's not my first comment, but kind of question comment thing came in over Spotify. You can comment on Spotify. And I think you can comment on YouTube. You can comment on a lot of them. On Facebook, on any of them. Send me questions, comments, whatever you want. This is Mr. C. And Mr. C says, Todd, I was able to join you virtually with an Oberon in hand. Cheers, Mr. C. I've just got a High Life in hand today, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with an Oberon. I wonder if they've released them yet. I'm sure you Oberon freaks know, because they have a certain day as summer's getting close where they actually do the Oberon release for that year. And I haven't been paying attention this year, so I don't know. But anyway, he said with an Oberon in hand for this, he was able to join me virtually for this episode as he works on projects around the house, and that's kind of what this is all about. I'm hoping I provide you a little bit of entertainment. We kind of hang out, talk about some things. He said, here's your opinion challenge that I'll throw your way. What are your thoughts on deck foundations? Composite cookie versus concrete cookie. Uplift stakes versus bury the post in concrete. Also, what would your dream deck look like? You know what's interesting about this? Mr. C. I love that name, by the way. I grew up, born and raised, lived in Michigan. See the little Michigan Roots sign on my hat? I'm a Michigan boy, like Kid Rock says. Can you feel that? So I'm born, bred, raised. I've done all my building in Michigan, largely. And in Michigan, of course, we have to deal with frost. We do in other states as well, but obviously you don't down south. So we have to, the goal for our deck footings is generally 42 inches below grade. And now obviously that's not the case everywhere. There are times, certain conditions, maybe if you're in all sand, depends on where you're at, where you can get away with 24-inch deep frost footings. But general rule would be 42 inches. So one of the things I was going to say is that in Michigan, we don't really worry about uplift on our decks. We've got 42 inches of usually most of the guys are using 4x6 posts now. And when you got 42 inches buried, we just don't worry about uplift. I can tell you, I built I don't know how many decks and had I don't know how many building inspectors from different municipalities, townships, whatever, look at them, and we've never done anything for uplift. I don't mind the concrete cookies, and I should help you guys, depending on where you're at. When I grew up I was born in 75, so most of my growing up years were in the 80s and maybe the early 90s. I think the first deck maybe that I worked on, that I would have helped my dad on, probably would have been at our Greenville house on Coffin Street. And we built I can't tell you how big it was. I bet it was 14 by, let's say 24. Could have been 26, something like that. Just kind of square deck. Obviously, my dad did most of it. I was probably at the time 10, 11 years old, maybe. I remember helping him. And at the time, the way that I learned to build a deck from my dad, I should point out my dad wasn't a builder. I had multiple uncles that were builders, and a grandfather that was a carpenter. So I do come from that. But my dad wasn't that. My dad was the consummate DIY guy, meaning he could do almost any projects, and he usually tried to do them himself, and he could figure it out generally as he went. I'm sure you guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys listening are like that, or if there's ladies listening, maybe your husbands are like that, or your sons, or whatever. But the point is, he's figured it out as he went, and I mean, he had a general understanding of construction. It wouldn't have been a builder's understanding of construction. I don't think he could have gone out and probably framed a house or anything. But decks, I think he felt like he could handle. And so back then, they would use just kind of your typical 4x4 post and dig out the post hole with your post hole diggers, and pour half a bag of concrete in the bottom, maybe 3/4 of a bag. Usually kind of tamp it down a little, maybe, and then put your post in and get your post nice and firmly set, and then pour another bag of concrete around the post. Kind of, they'd use something to kind of tamp it in. And then they might put a little water on it, might put the foundation, might just put the dirt back in, water the dirt around it a little bit, try to get that concrete to set up a little bit, and they called it good. So a lot of my early decks we did that way. Nobody builds decks. I mean, that wouldn't even pass code anymore. Now what Mr. C's talking about are composite cookies versus concrete cookies. A concrete cookie is, I don't know, it probably is 4 inches thick. It's 12, 16 inches round. Some of them might be 24 inches round. And so you got to dig the hole big enough, and you throw that concrete cookie at the bottom, get it kind of nice and level on what amounts to fairly virgin soil. Put your post down on it, sets on there, and then you backfill the thing. You got, again, about 42 inches of backfill. So that's a concrete cookie. A composite cookie they've come out with more recently. I mean, obviously they've been around for a while. And those are generally black or gray, and they're only maybe a couple inches thick, and they're kind of engineered out of a composite plastic, and then they sit down in the hole, same as a concrete cookie does. It's not as thick, but it basically keeps that compression, because at least for us in Michigan, all of your pressure's going down. We don't worry about uplift. We do on rafters and on trusses. We use hurricane clips. Although I got to tell you, every time we put them on, everybody I know, we always think, I can't remember the last time I had a hurricane that tore a roof off in Michigan. But whatever, we put on hurricane clips, fine. Maybe we get tornadoes once in a while, who knows? Some straight line winds. But we just don't get stuff. When you look at maps where they're dealing with uplift, it's almost all in hurricane prone areas. So you can kind of wrap from Texas all around the Gulf, all around Florida, all around up the East Coast, and it stays within a certain amount of miles of the coast, and it's basically where you're going to take the brunt of a hurricane, and then you could deal with uplift. I've never done anything to tie down a deck in my life ever, and I've never been required to. I've never had to. I can tell you this: I've torn out old decks that were built the way that I talked about building them, that my dad taught me to build them when I was just a little kid. Whether or not it was right then, it's not right now. But I pulled some of those old decks up, and that concrete did become like a ball around those 4x4s. And, I mean, you don't get them out by hand, unless you're really working at it. We generally would get a backhoe or a mini backhoe or something, mini excavator, and, they hook on, you leave 2 or 3 feet exposed, and they pull them right out. And that's the only way you're going to get those things out. So, again, that uplift is just not something that I've dealt with a lot. So I like composite cookies because they're lighter and easier to deal with. And engineering wise, when you dig into the specs, they hold just as much weight as the concrete. I mean, you're fine as far as that goes. I think it's more important to make sure that people get ground contact treated lumber. And I don't think that 4x4s always are anymore. That's why you see a lot of guys use 4x6s, because they're rated for ground contact, for something that you're going to put right in the ground. Like, you can have a treated 4x4 and you can build things with it and do whatever, and it'll hold up. But theoretically, a lot of them aren't meant to be buried and have that kind of ground contact. So as far as what my dream deck would look like, I'm probably different maybe than a lot of people, because we built so many. A lot of beautiful composite decks, and composite decks really do look gorgeous. You can get the either the white or the clay. You get different color, kind of the I'm gonna call them plastic railings, but I mean they don't look cheap per se. Just you don't have to stain them or do anything with them. And then you've got the composite decking down. For me personally, I think my dream deck is more of like a cedar deck. So in other words, it's going to hold up a little better than treated wood. It's going to look a little nicer. Maybe hold its stain a little longer. I don't mind staining some decking. Again, even if you have a composite deck, you're using treated wood for the framing. So it's just the deck flooring and the railing, which those are most of the things that you're staining anyway. But personally, I've done cedar decks, the favorite decks that I've built for customers. And my deck's great, but I built my deck 25 years ago when I barely knew anything. And yet it still came out great. It's got, the 8-sided, kind of an octagon thing. I got a fire pit in the middle of the lower one, and then a bigger upper deck. And it really did. It came out beautiful. It's been great, and I love it. That said, if I was building a dream deck, I think I would weigh the cost in some on the cedar versus composite, but I also I know this is going to sound weird. There's something I like about wood. And so if I could do cedar, and then what I really like are maybe a cedar 4x4, a basic box railing, but I like, instead of balusters, the wire that they're doing. They do a horizontal wire between, like, say, your 8-foot spans on your baluster posts coming up, your 4x4s or whatever, and you tighten them up so that they can get that cable kind of taut. And when you're kind of looking out, that cable kind of disappears, which I love that. Now, especially if you're on a lake, especially if you're on a river, I just love the look. I'll be honest with you, I would love the look inside with that cable wiring. I just really like the look. So I think if I was building a dream deck now, I think I would do it out of cedar, and I think I would do the cable railing, because I really like it. And I would hope that I had a dream view that I was looking out at. Now, maybe you don't. Whatever. Not all of us get dream views, right? But that's I think that's where I would go with it. So yeah, that's on decks, and then of course you can do whatever on railings and everything else. I like decks. I like a big deck that you can fit a fair amount of people on. Just this last, I don't know, month or two ago, I had my daughter was in a play. Actually, two of my daughters were in a play, and they had their entire musical theater group out here, and I probably had 30 kids. We had a big fire, 30 teenagers on the deck, the various decks, 2 different levels, and it was great. So I love it. The kids get out there, they get their speaker out there, everybody's dancing on the deck, and it's fun. So that's probably what I would do, Mr. C, which I know is different than a lot of guys. A lot of guys would go composite deck, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with a composite deck. I just, when I'm go out in the summer and I'm walking on my deck bare feet, it's just something I like about wood. But that easily could just be me. Again, I'm a carpenter. I've spent a lot of my life with wood, inhaling sawdust. So who knows? Maybe my brain is mangled from that. I don't know. But so anyway, that's my deck episode. Thanks for the question, Mr. C. I love it. So listen, guys, send me questions. You can get on Spotify, you can get on Facebook, you can get on wherever. Doesn't have to be a long question. It can be whatever. Join us every weekend, beer in hand. I mean, I prefer you have a beer in hand. If you like pop, water, whatever floats your boat. But for me, Miller High Life, today anyway, with the Margaritaville koozie. And then answer Mr. C, and I love it. So send me some more questions. We'll have some more comments. Easter weekend. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend and enjoys themselves. And again, tune in to our other shows if you haven't. Check out the Wildly Opinionated News Hour. Even if you're a lefty, it's okay. I'm not that hard on you. You'll probably enjoy it. It's fun. It's all in good humor. We're all Americans, right? We're all just hoping that we can make the best out of the mess that we've been kind of left. So, and figuring out how to clean it up. And then on the Beers with Jesus side, I just love it. Give it a shot. You may not be a churchgoer, or you may be. Either way, you might like it. I guess if somebody, when people ask me, I would say that I hope that people maybe who aren't all that into church, who haven't given the Bible or Jesus or any of that, much attention, or haven't paid them a lot of attention, that maybe they'll tune in and they'll find that it's not a preaching type thing. We just kind of go through the story, see what the story's all about, make some observations, and we have a good time. Again, Beers with Jesus. So that would be Mr. C, Oberon in hand again. So if 20 or 30 minutes on the Home Improvement Show is enough for you, you got an hour and a half of the Wildly Opinionated News Hour, and then you got another hour and 15 of Beers with Jesus. We've got your entire weekend handled. So anyway, thanks for the question, Mr. C. So guys, send more, and we will address them. Have a happy Easter. I hope that you can get out there, get together with family. We're getting together with my sister and her family, smoking a ham on the Weber, I think it's a smoking fire cooker. It's one of those pellet ones. That's what Brandon has, which is, he would say it doesn't put out quite the smoke, obviously, that a wood smoker does. But my Lord, it's so convenient. You can get so many different flavors. You can just set it. You go to church. You can watch your temps right on your phone. I mean, it's a pretty fabulous setup. And whether or not it puts out as much smoke as a traditional wood smoker or not, it puts out some amazing meat. We'll do some grill talk too in the Home Improvement Show. Don't you worry. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Catch us on the socials. Check out the other shows. And good luck on your projects, right? We're all doing the best that we can. Let me know what your dream decks are. All right? All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today. We'll catch you next week.